All right, back again, another Q&A. I haven't got that long today, so let me hurry up and get through it. Before I get into it, remember, I'm sending out newsletters 3-4 times a week. Go to my website to check that out to make sure you're on the newsletter list. Subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. Otherwise, let's get into it. My voice is a bit gone today. I think it's from shouting at the Super Bowl and or the rugby on the weekend, so bear with me. All right, first question. Is BMI any good? I quite like BMI. For normal people, I think it does a good enough job. So if you're an athlete, it's not very good for you. But if you're an athlete, then you're not really a normal person. So for the average person, I think BMI does a good job. You know, how else are you going to survey 1 million people at one time? Now, there are some remits to it that could be better, but in general, I like BMI as a general thing. Now, what a lot of people get is, remember, this was set up years ago, is that quite normal weighted people come out maybe as overweight on the BMI. So I quite like it. I think it will show, and the reason why normal weighted people are coming out on the BMI is it was set up so many years ago. We're much bigger as a society. But BMI is fine for a population. As far as any personal goals go, it's pretty rubbish. So that's my opinion on BMI. Body mass index, if you didn't get what that was. Is the bleep test any good? So this came from one of the videos I put up. I had a couple of 13-year-old rugby kids that I'm training to get into school. They have a school exam for sports scholarship. They had a bleep test they have to do. So I was taking them through that. Is it a good test? I like it. It's, again, how else? You need 20 meters to test you. 15, depending on which test you do. You can repeat it. It's repeatable. That's why the army use it and so forth. So is it a good test? Yes. One of the problems with fitness is nobody measures anything. And then if you're not measuring anything, how do you know if you get any better? How do you know if you're not improving? So any measurement's good. Now, is it relevant to what you're trying to do? Well, that's a different debate. You know, it depends what you're doing. Is it related to 5K? You know, 5K, weight training, it depends what you're doing. But any fitness test is better than none. So I like the bleep test. Those kids I was putting through it, I don't think they did like the bleep test, but that's not my worry. A couple of people messaged me, did I see the Truth About Fitness TV show? What did I think? Call me boring in my old age, but I really don't. I found it a bit dull, to be honest, but I'm not sure whether that's because I just keep reading research or not. But anyway, the show, I thought it was rubbish, and I come on Facebook and everyone's bigging it up how great it is. So in a brief sum up of what it did, it was just basically, it's telling you everything you should already know, but it's only obviously if you know that. So things like if you're new to weight training, it doesn't matter what you do to get fitter. Hopefully you know that. If you've done nothing for ages, it doesn't matter what you do, you'll be coming out fitter. They repeated one of the famous tests on willpower. Again, I've mentioned this a lot of times. You know, if you're using willpower a lot to get in shape, to stick to your plan's wrong. It's as simple as that. You know, do you need a bit of willpower to get going? Of course you do. Do you need a bit of willpower to do some of the different behavior experiments and stuff that you ultimately should be doing if you're trying to get in shape? Yes. But if you're relying this all on willpower, you're in trouble. So the willpower test they did was fun, but, you know, it's missing the point in my opinion. They talk about running injuries. Again, I think running injury is a bit of a fallacy in that the typical runner, if you know a real runner from running clubs, they're running 4 or 5 times a week. They're stubborn. They'll run through injuries. You do that for year upon year, it can have an effect. But we're living in a world where there's so many ways to get fit. Running could be part of that mix. Now, what the studies show that generally sensible running would help cartilage and help bone health, you know, but it's very independent. If your joints are battered and it hurts when you're running, it's probably not a good idea to do it. But I always say to anybody, if you can't jog 10 minutes, then you've got a problem. So it's something that should be sorted out. Either one, you've got injuries that you need to sort out. That's sortable for the vast majority of people. 2, you're carrying too much weight. Again, that's something that can be sorted out. That's the only 2 reasons you can't really run. You know, after that, if the joints are sorted, you should be able to run. If not, it's just fitness. And everybody should be able to run at least 5-10 minutes. If you can't, you're suffering in life. So obviously there are some examples of injuries where you won't be able to do it, but you get what I'm saying. The last thing I saw, the last one, they made 5 points. These are 4 of the 5 points of the TV show. Was about dancing. Now, whether you follow me or not, you know I do samba dancing. I've had the luxury of living in Brazil. So obviously most typical British people, we don't dance unless we're drunk. So when I gave up drinking, I've talked about it on other videos, the hardest part was dancing sober. Then I went to live in Brazil, and everybody dances, and you feel more awkward not dancing. But anyway, one of the things they showed was fitness and dancing was very powerful because it gives that social thing. There's something primal about dancing. I always say it, most of us can't do it because we're too self-conscious and so forth. But the point on what the study on the show was saying was it's more than just how many calories I burn. It's also about how you feel, and it's about how you act in weight loss terms when you get out of there. So that's about changing mood and so forth. So that was an interesting one on the dancing side of things. Obviously, I'm a big proponent of that. That's it. That's what I'd say on the show. So I see Seema's commented there. She found it boring as well. A lot of people loved it. So I guess it depends where you come from. The truth about fitness, I think it's on the iPlayer. Was it something like that? You know. So so there we have it. Next question. Where am I on? A question: can I eat chocolate and lose weight? Well, if you follow me for a while, you know you can do that. So so the answer is a definite yes. I've done, if you follow my diets, I've done diets where I've just eaten chocolate and lost weight. I've done diets where I've just been, vegan and lost weight, high protein and lost weight. The McDonald's diet where I just ate in McDonald's and lost weight. There's a way to get anywhere to get those results that you want. Now, you can't have it all. We're not stupid here. You can't, eat as much chocolate as you want, drink as much as you want, sit on your ass, and then expect something magical to happen. Come on. But I've seen lots of clients go on to get results by eating a bit of chocolate every day. Some people once a week. Some people, of course, cut it out completely. There's a time and a place for anything. And if you've got it in place, you'll become very powerful. Now, what happens for most people, which I've talked to a lot of clients about this week, I talk with a lot of clients every week about this, is guilt in the whole area of weight loss. It's a bit crazy. So we have guilt for being out of shape. Well, that's not much help. We've got guilt for having any bad food. Oh no, I've had some chocolate. Oh my God. We have guilt for not going to exercise. We have guilt for exercising but not exercising hard enough. We have guilt for getting 6.5 out of the 7 days a week. People are just covered in guilt, and it's not helpful when it comes to health and fitness. So my goal with people is, when I'm working with them, it's not to just say, here's the plan of action, stick to it, go crazy, you're the best. It's more like, here's the plan of action that works. Great, you're sticking to it. Now break the plan and see if you can get back on it. That's more important to me. Now, what happens, you find, with people is they're so scared to come off their plan. They're like, it's working, it's magic. I'm just going to stick to it. That's not the point, because ultimately I'm not going to work with you for the rest of your life. So I need to know, when you come off the plan, how quickly do you get back on it? And that's the ultimate success of getting in shape. So the guilt part is really important, because most people cannot, well, not most, but a lot of people who struggle with results cannot eat food without feeling guilty. And then they get into this vicious chasing their tail side of things, where they feel guilty for eating a bad food, but then they want the bad foods and they restrict themselves, and they just keep going around in a circle. The reality of this all is you shouldn't have any guilt about anything, not how you are, and definitely not on your behaviors. And this is another debate that I run into with people who, obviously a lot of people, especially trainers, are arrogant, and then they slag off people for being out of shape, or people are very self-conscious. I think you're judging them, but it depends how you view the thing. To me, it's just a problem, and it's not really something to be guilty about. It's like, you don't like exercise, fine. Why are you guilty about that? It's a bit like, you might not be into art from the 16th century. Are you guilty about it? No. And this is the same thing. Most people have never been taught to learn to enjoy exercise. And the way most people do exercise, I would hate it too. It's because people don't know what they're doing. They're pushing it too hard. They're not integrating with people they like and hanging out with, or something like that. So as a result, they haven't created the connection to enjoying that part. And then they're going to feel guilty that they don't move enough. Or maybe you're carrying a lot of weight and you wonder why it feels so hard to exercise. Well, of course it will. But there's no point being guilty about the fact you're not into that area. It's about, how do I try and develop myself? It's the same with the foods. Oh no, so you eat too much chocolate. Oh, I drink too much. There are a lot of crimes you could be doing in the world. It's not the worst. So when you look at somebody who feels guilty about how their body is, I'm just like, you've just repeated these patterns that you've never learned for a few years upon years, and that's the result. Guilt's really, a problem area to have in getting results. So for me, it's trying to get people to stop feeling guilty about behaviors that are bad, because we want them to do that. It's not about not doing them. It's about, can I do them in moderation? And then the same about where they are. There's no point feeling guilty about where you are. Let's feel focused on how do we use that energy to drive it forwards. So that was a conversation about guilt that I was having with a couple of clients. What do we got here? Pre-marathon nutrition. London Marathon. How long is it for? 2 months? 2 months this weekend? Something like that? No, the 20th. Anyway, marathon. I had a couple of people, one person going abroad to a marathon that I met. Pre-match nutrition for a marathon starts on Wednesday. It doesn't start Sunday morning before the marathon. It should be on Wednesday, and then you build it up from there. On the day, it can go both ways. Paula Radcliffe, world record holder still, she couldn't eat on the day because of nerves, and she broke the world record. So if you're putting all your saviour in a huge meal before the marathon, you're probably going to bugger it up. So my general rule of thumb is you've got to start on the Wednesday to Thursday if you're doing the typical Sunday marathon. And you've got to test whatever you do on the Sunday way before the real day. Do not try anything new on the first day, on the day of the real event, because one, you're nervous and you do stupid things when you're nervous. I remember when I was doing athletics training, I got nervous once. I thought, oh my God, I'm not going to be fit enough to run this 400 meters. So then when I ate a big chocolate bar, and I could just feel the energy boom, come straight out of me, drained straight away. And that's because I was nervous and panicking like an idiot. So same with marathons. You eat early, Wednesday onwards. The real match on the day, nutrition is not that important if you've got the other stuff sorted. Well, it is important, but it's not as important as people think. And then make sure you've tested it way before and numerous times before the real day. And that's my pre-match nutrition. That links in the other question. I put up some videos about me running the 400 meters. Yep, I used to compete in 400 meters. Now I'm over 35. I was stumbling on the website, and basically the 100 and 200 meter times are still really good, but everyone's quit doing 400 meters. So if you still do 400 meters and you're over 35, then it's not that hard to get quite a good national ranking. So that's inspired me to come back, hopefully compete this year. We'll see how I run on the track. It's been a few years, 3 years or so, since I was last on there. People always ask me, what should I eat? What's the most important thing with nutrition? This is it. It's taste in your diet. That's the most number one important thing. Rated on a 0 to 10 scale, 10 out of 10, gorgeous taste, 0 out of 10, disgusting. If your plan of action food-wise is not a 7 or at least an 8 out of 10, there's almost no point even trying to follow it. Because remember, for most people to get results, you've got to stick to your plan for whatever, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. Taste is at the heart of this, and most people have a choice. An untasty, horrible 5 out of 10 healthy weight loss diet, sports diet, whichever diet you're playing, bodybuilding diet, or they have a real healthy taste, 8, 9 out of 10, but it's a disastrous diet. And if you take this principle, what's the most important thing for nutrition as taste, and then you think, right, I've got to get a sensible plan that actually tastes good. Now, it takes a bit of time to get there, but if you get there, man, it changes absolutely everything. And all of a sudden, that weak willpower of yours is nowhere near as bad as you used to think it was. And with that element in play, because remember, it's always tough to get in shape and so forth. And if your diet's 4, 5, 6 out of 10, you need willpower to stick to it. And I can guarantee you, and the whole point of the willpower I was talking about earlier is it doesn't carry on. Willpower goes up and down, whoop, up, down. And the key is, what do you do when it's down? And that's the whole problem that everybody runs into. So by getting taste in there, we're able to stick to it. So it's the number one thing. Some people are like, what, do you think this food's healthy? What food's this? No. Tell me how tasty your diet is, and then let's go from there. And most people can't get it because, you know, it's not like when I say, give me your diet plan. Good. What's a good idea for this week? People go, oh, Pizza Hut, McDonald's, kebab. People don't do that. But they go the other route, healthy plan, but no taste. So that's the number one thing when it comes to food, best food to eat. Along those lines, protein shakes. Should I have protein shakes? You can't really answer a general question for people watching. For the guy asking me that, no, it wasn't a protein shake. It was a mass builder shake. It's about 500 calories a bang. He's going to waste, I don't know, for him, probably a third of his day's nutrition on a shake that he doesn't even like. Can you see how it links into that last taste question? Yes, bodybuilders take it. Do you need it? We can analyze that quite easily. But the average person watching this, no, you don't need it. And it's just wasted energy, wasted calories. Now, as you know, any circumstance can work. So you might find having a protein shake is easy and facilitates your diet and stops you getting hungry. But the reality for most people is it's just wasted energy, wasted calories in the body, and it's not linked up to taste. Like, how many people enjoy their protein taste? Whew, mine are disgusting. So I would say no. The average person, protein shakes are not needed. I linked into something. Oh yeah, people asking again, it's always the question, how does weight loss work? Oh, I've got to go low carb. I keep repeating it, but it's, when you really think about how does weight loss work, it still comes back to the most boring fundamentals. At some point, it's an energy balance equation. And people are, oh no, my hormones, calories in doesn't count, this doesn't count. it's still an equation of numbers, energy numbers. Are there some nuances day to day? Yep. Week to week? No. Month to month? Almost guaranteed not. And this is the ultimate thing. How do I get that in place? And as I talked about earlier on with taste, as I talked about with willpower, over a period of time. Everybody who's watching this has lost weight. Guarantee it. Now, if you can repeat that week, or what I get with most of my clients is, they start, they're pumped, they're jacked, let's go. They get a couple of weeks good progress. Often they can't see that progress because, touched on earlier on, about feeling guilty, about not being aware of what the best way to chart results, or they just simply can't see it. Then they think, right, I'll quit or change something, or I need to do something else, because they haven't got the patience. That's a big problem. So everybody watching this would have lost body fat at some point, and if this is your main goal, it's not about reinventing the wheel. It's about, how do I take some of those principles, apply them to a plan now? Do I need to modify a little bit, like I talked about taste just then? And then can I stick to that going forwards? So the actual biochemical process, well, there's a big complicated formula for it. I think last year, was it 2 years ago, the article about how you breathe out your body fat ultimately with CO2. It doesn't mean shit for a normal person watching this. Ultimately, it's about, are you moving enough? Most people aren't. If you can check it on your phone, never has it been more easier as far as monitoring what you need to do to get in shape. Now, monitoring has pros and cons because it's a drain for as many people as it is a positive. But am I moving? Am I eating too much? That's the base of it. Now, there's things that can help that, but let's not lie. People who go on about these hormone systems. I used to measure hormones with clients. We do hormone tests and stuff. It doesn't stack up because hormones aren't cycling up, down, here and that. It's about the energy balance at the base, and behind that is behavioural up here. That's what I'm always harping about my book, just there, because that's the ultimate key. But don't get taken away by this, the whole thing. It's hormones. It's this. You got to address this problem, that problem. Maybe 1 in a million. But ultimately, it's the same thing. And this is what I always say to these arguments I have. If I took you and locked you in my shed and controlled your food and made you walk on a treadmill till I gave you more food, outside wanting to kill me, there's only 2 things that can happen. You're going to collapse and die because I've mistreated you, or you'll lose weight. And you know what's going to happen. You're going to lose weight. Now, of course, we don't live in that shed. We live in a free world, which is why it comes back to the old brain and behaviour. Now, I haven't got long left. Let me check. Protein shakes, athletics. As a couple of asked about, well, more debates about coaching. It's more like a life coach I was hanging out with. Why do people get coaching? Well, people don't quite understand. When it comes to health and fitness, it's a very funny thing because nobody ultimately cares that much which way you get results. It's a very much quite a not a selfish endeavour, but a personal endeavour, because your partner would like you how you are. Saying friends, they accept you how you are. Now, you might not think they do, but the reality they do. So it comes down to yourself. Who really cares about you getting results? And it's a lonely business. This is why it's very tough to get in shape. So the debate we're talking about was about, do you need a coach? You don't need a coach. But it makes the odds and you getting results better. So then you ask yourself, how important is this goal to me? And what are the odds of me getting it? And the odds for most people are horrendous, sadly. And that's why you want some people who are batting for you. So if you've watched my 2018 Body Transformation Guide or downloaded off the website, second thing to do was get people around you. And it doesn't matter what form they're in, whether it's a support group, whether it's teaming up with your friends, whether it's using an official coach, weight loss group. But I tell you, if you're doing this alone, you're going to struggle. It's by no accident every single athlete in the world trains in groups. Even solo events, they're still in groups. Why? Because you need that environment to shove you up to a different level. And it's exactly the same sort of thing. So people asking, why do you need a coach? You don't need a coach. If you can go off and get all your results on your own, brilliant. But most people don't. And then the question isn't just that. It's like, who's in bat for you? Who's supporting you? Who cares about you getting results? The problem with using some of the people very close to you is they're not neutral. So if I'm changing my behavior, it's going to affect my partner. Do you know what I'm saying? If I'm losing weight, it might affect my friends. You know what I'm saying? Not in it's going to ruin their life, but any change by one person is going to affect another person. And that is an issue. So it's not that you will, and you see a lot talked about this from previous questions, when what we typical, a woman goes on a diet and then the boyfriend's now stuck on the vegan diet with them. And then you wonder why he kicks up all this back fuss. it's obvious because you're changing more than just yourself. It's the other person. So the whole point of the coaching side of things is just that you need people to support you. You need structure. You need that rebound thing off. And this is why every athlete in the world has a coach. Every athlete in the world finds groups to train with. And that's how they get to high standards. It's just basic things. So that was just a conversation I was having about coaching techniques, methods, and so forth as far as that goes. I think I've done my questions. I've got to run to train a client. Dance, taste. That's me done. As ever, ask questions, email me, comment below, blah, blah, blah. Make sure you subscribe. Remember my newsletter list, I'm sending it out 3-4 times a week in email, so follow that to go through it. That's it. I'll see you soon. Right, gotta go.